Live from the Backstretch at historic Saratoga Racecourse, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow. Racing Across America is brought to you by Pinnell's Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, Saratoga, just minutes from the track. And the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. When you can't make it to the track, make it to the Clubhouse Racebook. CapitalOTBBet.com, the premier online wagering site in New York State. CapitalOTBBet.com. Sign up today.
Good morning and welcome to Racing Across America on a beautiful Sunday. I say Racing Across America because our colleague Steve Bick out of town. He was up in Woodbine this week, leading into the King's Plate, which yesterday Luster was fabulous in the King's Plate. The filly got it done at a very short price. So Steve out of town. So again, I go back to Racing Across America as opposed to Loose on the Lead because even when Steve's here, I always call it Racing Across. It's stuck in my head. So we'll go with Racing Across America on this Sunday morning. Fun Sunday ahead on a beautiful day up here at Saratoga. A little bit later on, the real players inside the backstretch. If you're on social media, horse racing, you've seen their work. They do interviews with owners, trainers, jockeys, grooms, hot walkers, service people. They really do a great job kind of covering all the folks who are involved in the game. We'll talk a little bit about how the project was started and where we are today with the real players inside the backstretch folks. And then a little bit later, Charlie Baker will join us. Had a win yesterday to kick off the day and kicking off the meet very well up here at Saratoga. Limited number of starters, but he's had a few winners. We'll hit on that and more. Top of the show, however, last night over at Facing Tipton, a nice little gathering party kind of leading into the New York Bred sale with New York Bred involved folks over there. And there was a nice announcement made. I've had a little bit of wind of it the past few weeks, and I wanted to have the folks on to kind of lead into it this morning. So we're joined by Executive Director of the New York Thoroughbred Breeders, Thompson, and Jack Knowloton from Saratoga. Good morning.
Morning, Seth.
Morning. Happy to have you on, and let's kick right into it. Jack, tell us what was announced yesterday and what was the impetus?
Well, probably about a year and a half ago, I did some research and found that there were 8 states that had state thoroughbred halls of fame. And I said, why can they have one and we don't have one in New York? New York has accomplished more probably as a state bred program than any of those states for sure. Fortunately, Saratoga Stable with Tizzalaw and Funnyside contributed to that. And I went to Naj and said, this is my idea. I did a little 4-page paper that kind of laid out what was going on elsewhere. And with the new Belmont coming in, I thought that was a great opportunity that you may be able to, find some space down there to do some things. And then the more we talked about it, we said we'd like to have something both at Saratoga and at Belmont. That's a work in progress, but Dave O'Rourke and his team have been great and supportive. So that's what happened last evening. We talked, to Boyd Browning at Facing Tipton, and I asked Boyd when I was down in Kentucky, if we could have a second party, and he said, yeah, and he put up a nice amount of money to get it started, and between Naj and I, we got a lot of other supporters and had a great evening. I think 350, 400 people probably. We tied in with the Taste New York program. We wanted to make it an all-state affair. Commissioner of Ag and Markets, who's on the fund board, he was tremendously helpful with his team, and it was a great evening. I think everybody enjoyed it, and we hope that it's the first of many.
And I will reiterate it was a great party over there, great food, and there was a big enthusiastic crowd. Naj is, the executive director of New York Thoroughbred Breeders. The Hall of Fame idea, I think, fits right into what you guys do, because I've talked about it for years now. The New York Bred program is just on the way up. So to have something like this to honor some of the great New York breds is fabulous.
Definitely, Seth, and thank you for coming last night. Like you mentioned, we always talk about Fiorito and that Whitney victory and great moments, Jack campaigning under the Saratoga Stable banner, New York bred greats. This is something that's long overdue. So with the opportunity for a new Belmont Park and that initial idea from Jack speaking to me and other stakeholders that want to see the best for our program as we're continuing to grow, and why not cap that off with crowning the people and the horses that have contributed to making our program great.
Talk a little bit about the nuts and bolts and how it's going to work.
Definitely. So we have formed a Hall of Fame nominating committee, of which you are a member of, Seth, so I appreciate that.
I appreciate the invitation.
It'll be chaired by Mike Kane, and other members include Tom Durking, Teresa Gennaro, Dave Grenning, Todd Height from Finger Lakes, Tom Law, Saratoga Special, Barbara Livingston, Michael Veach, Tim Wilkin, and we'll also have seats from New York Thoroughbred Breeders, NYRA, and the New York State Breeding Fund. So we've got a collective amount of individuals who cover the history, the people, and most importantly, the knowledge that will make sure that we get the right horses and people honored each year.
And I saw Todd at the party last night. Todd Height, we go out and cover Finger Lakes a couple times every year, and Todd, great host out there. But I like that, a Finger Lakes personality is involved in it because a horse like Fiorito, who essentially for me kind of kicked off the ascension of the New York bred program when he won the Whitney here after breaking through the gate with Les Hewlett on board the Finger Lakes jockey. So it's nice to see the Finger Lakes folks involved. Jack, I pulled up a replay. Speaking of New York breds, pulled up a replay of Tislelaw winning the Travers a few years ago right up here. Tislelaw, of course, a great New York bred, and you've been a big supporter of the New York bred program. So talk a little bit about on the New York bred side of things and why New York breds are so important to you.
Well, Saratoga Stable, bought their first horse in 1995. It was a New York bred. Tim Kelly was our trainer at that point, and we put in $30,000, 6 guys, $5,000 apiece, and he found a New York bred for $22,000. And the reason that we got in is we realized at that point it was less expensive to play with New York breds, and with only one exception, probably 15 years ago, we went off the reservation and bought a non-New York bred. And then we did it, after Tislelaw became a stallion, we had 3 of his. Everything else is New York breds all the time. And, fortunately for us, we've had, 2 of the most successful New York breds. And now it's, time to continue New York breds. I mean, we're going to the sale, and we're having 6 New York breds vetted as we speak, and we're hoping to pick up 2 or 3 at this sale.
Yeah, and as you saw there, a New York bred, good New York bred. I say it all the time now. You have so many options. You have these New York bred stakes and the big New York bred stakes days, but you can go out and win something like the Grade 1 Travers when you get a good one. So that had to be a fabulous feeling when the Travers.
Yeah, it was. That was a COVID year, and they changed everything around. We had them geared up. I think we'd have had our second Derby if they'd have had the Derby the first Saturday in May. But and it was eerie because he wins the Grade 1 Florida Derby, we couldn't be there. He wins the Grade 1 Belmont Stakes, we couldn't be there. And then there were 16 of us that managed to be there in person for the Travers. So it was a really weird time. We didn't get to enjoy it as much as we normally would. But now having him as a stallion and us having the opportunity to have some of his offspring, and actually one that's a dual stakes winner already in Tiz Dashing. So, there's a lot to be said. We're the poster child for New York breds. We think it's wonderful, and hope to continue forever to play in that game.
You've had 2 of the best, no question about that. But speaking of the best, Anthony Mormino and I, when I mentioned this to Anthony, we're going to have you on the show, he said, "Oh, that's interesting. I wonder who the first class is." And we were all kind of like, Fiorito maybe, and Tislelaw. We were kind of speculating. And when I tossed out there, I'm going to take a look at the 2008 Whitney victory from Commentator, who was just talk about fabulous New York breds, and tied into Nick Zito had a win up here at Saratoga the other day. He got emotional. That was fun to see Nick in the winner's circle. But Commentator was spectacular. Nice, just reflect that some of the great New York breds. Again, Theo Reeder kind of kicked off the ascension, but horses like this, Commentator, they can step out into open company and be very productive, and it's just got better and better and better.
Certainly so, Seth. Two-time Whitney winner, Commentator, Day at the Spa, Breeders' Cup winner, Diversify, another Whitney winner for the program. Yeah. But New York breds have continued to improve in quality, and that's a credit to our breeders, everybody that participates, owners such as Jack and Saratoga Stable and others, and the improving stallions that we've brought into the game, including Freud, who's kind of set the stage for the program, and Central Banker has carried on that banner. And you've seen Imagination was just announced he'll be standing in New York next year. So the program continues to grow, and it's only right that we continue that path with the Hall of Fame to honor the individuals and the horses who have made our program great.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm happy to be on the selection committee. Because again, I just found, and over the years have folks like you and owners who have come and talked about the New York bred. We've had the nice New York bred days up here, and it's always a lot of fun. Talk a little bit about, for folks who maybe are going to head over and look for horses. That New York bred sale has become very popular, and part of that is the purse parity that's coming up.
Certainly is. So starting this summer at Saratoga, for 2-year-olds, we're running for equal purse money as open horses. That'll translate across all categories this September when the new Belmont Park opens on Friday, September 18th. So now's the right time to get with the program, as the great sayings goes for New York breds. And I think Jack has mentioned it. He's vetting 6 horses. There'll be about 290 horses on offer, I believe, around that amount, Sunday, tonight, and Monday. Come out to the sales pavilion, get yourself a syndicate, or talk to Jack about joining Saratoga Stable or others. But now's the right time to get involved with the program, and especially here in New York.
Yeah, and I always say, if you haven't been up here for the sale, come up for the sale. The Monday, Tuesday sale is great. It was a zoo on Monday night, a little lesser on Tuesday, but there's still a lot of people. But the New York bred sale has become very popular too, and it's fun. And you can come, and as I say, you pick up the book, and you can learn a little bit about breeding that may help you with the 2-year-old races. So again, it's tonight and tomorrow afternoon.
Yes,
over at the Face 8. And if you're not familiar, it's like 2 blocks away from the track. So, Jack, how long have
one other thing I want to talk about that I think is very, very important is the fact that we're going to have a Tapeta track and winter racing at Belmont. It's going to change.
Yeah.
We're not going to be sending horses to Florida like we've done historically. We're hoping that, turf horses are going to be able to run on the Tapeta. You're running for big purses. They have this great series that Naj has come up with Naira called the Trillium Series. 14 races, $200,000 and $300,000, open only to New York breds and Canadian bred horses. So that, I think, is very exciting and another incentive for people to get in the New York bred game.
Yeah, combined with Woodbine, I think that was a great idea by all means. And Mark Cassie, again, prominent up at Woodbine, but I had him on the show earlier this year, and we were talking about it. And he mentioned, for the first time really ever, I think he's going to be year-round in New York, and that clearly ties into, his horses up at Woodbine, I would think, coming down and being in New York. And then he mentioned he's going to be looking at some New York breds as well.
We hope so, and we know so, because Mark, a Hall of Famer himself. But once he's making that move, you'll see others as well make that move. And as Jack mentioned, with the new Tapeta track coming in for the winter, we're going to, ensure that our fields are full for everyone who wants to bet the races, and for everybody that participates, that the horses get a chance to run and improve on several surfaces to prove their ability.
Yeah. And, Naj, you started over at Naira. You've been with the New York Thoroughbred Breeders now for a while. You guys are based up here in Saratoga, right?
That's right. We have an office downtown, right above Jack, really, downtown, right next to Chianti's downtown, if you know that area. But really, we're open to speaking to individuals. You want to get involved in breeding or ownership, please visit our website, nytbreeders.org. We also appreciate Capital TV being partners with us and the great work that you do every day, Seth.
I appreciate that. And talk a little bit about the economic impact of New York breeders, because we know here in the Saratoga area there are a lot of local farms, but there are really farms all over the state.
Definitely, certainly are. Around 290 or so throughout the state. As you mentioned, Saratoga County, as well as the Hudson Valley region, has a lot of our top thoroughbred farms. But overall, horse racing contributes $3.3 billion in economic impact, 19,000 jobs, and each equine athlete that you see is really an economic engine, from the hay to the veterinarian, trainer, owner, lawyers involved. It's, each racehorse is about expanding our community. We've done a great job in state government. That's how we're able to get the new Belmont Park through our lobbying efforts and showing state representatives how important the agricultural economy is connected to horse racing and breeding.
Yeah, and of course, over on the front side in the mornings, they've added the farm tours to the breakfast, and that's highly recommended as well. I know, talking to some of the folks that run the farms that have been part of the farm tour, they said, the people come and ask questions, they're enthusiastic, and that's another aspect of the game. And again, you can take advantage of that over on the front side during the morning breakfast times. Take a farm tour as well. Jack, I know it's still kind of a work in progress, but for folks who are now kind of thinking, oh, New York Bred Hall of Fame, what will they be looking for to show up to reflect what's going to happen with the Hall of Fame?
Well, I think one of the examples last night at the party, we were able to bring trophies at grade ones at Tislaw and Funnyside to show people that the biggest races in the sport, Triple Crown races, and those types of races, the Travers and a number of others, New York Breds can win those, and we want to showcase that. That's why we had them there last night. Anybody who's thinking about New York Breds, wow, they can win anything. They've done it, and hopefully in the future there'll be more. So that is one thing, and of course, we would hope that there'll be, some media, like last evening, we're showing the races that New York Breds were able to win. So I think, those are some of the kinds of things that we're going to want to, focus on initially. And I'm sure that as time goes on, there'll be a lot more creativity.
Yeah, as I said, it's still kind of a work in progress, from what I understand, but a good work in progress, because, as I say, I've mentioned Fiorito a lot, and being a homer and New York guy, I have liked to have seen this New York Bred program take off the way it did with horses like Tislaw and Commentator and beyond. But again, you guys, I think it's a great project and a great way to acknowledge the really nice New York Breds over the years. So appreciate the visit, appreciate the invitation again to the selection committee. I'm looking forward to it, but good luck going forward.
Thank you, Seth.
All right. And again, don't forget, New York Bred sale tonight and tomorrow afternoon. Swing by. It's literally down East Avenue, 2 blocks away from the track. You'll have a fun time if you stop by. All right. Stay tuned. Coming up next, real players inside the backstretch. As I say, they interview trainers, jockeys, owners, grooms, hot walkers, service people. They have it all covered. We'll talk about that and more right after this. Stay tuned. It's been referred to as possibly the best equine-themed gift shop on the planet. Impressions of Saratoga. Impressions of Saratoga, celebrating the Saratoga and equestrian lifestyles. It's your #1 choice for Saratoga souvenirs, apparel, and gift shopping. We have gifts for the entire family, and we're pet-friendly too. Visit us online at impressionssaratoga.com or come on down. Impressions of Saratoga, 368 Broadway, downtown Saratoga.
Want to get your career in horse racing off to a fast start? Well, the University of Arizona's Racetrack Industry Program is your winning ticket. The Racetrack Industry Program has served as a springboard to some of the industry's most successful individuals, with a proven track record of job placement right out of college. If you want to earn a degree in the exciting horse racing industry, the Racetrack Industry Program can put you in the winner's circle.
Congratulations, and here is your Horse Player of the Year.
To compete in Las Vegas this past March is an honor I will never forget. You just won the NHC by 84 cents. Wow. Oh, that's, holy wow.
I watch your stories. What you do, you speak to people that work inside the barn, people behind the scene. You get Nick Zito, you get some top owners, you get some small owners, right? The stories in racing, they're beautiful stories. Every barn with every horse has a most amazing story.
My name is Saudi Burton. I'm from Brooklyn, New York, and I went to Aqueduct. I met Alan Jerkins. I said, Mr. Jerkins, can I get a job? That's how he was. First of all, I want to congratulate Miss Duval on winning the Kentucky Derby and the Belmont. Congratulations. That's big for women.
My father rode here all through the 40s and 50s and the 60s. I started coming down here in the late 60s with my father.
Smiles,
yes,
happiness makes the world go around.
Spread the positive.
I lived in Florida, and I came here for a weekend, and my girlfriend said, "You're going to go take you to work in the Belmont Stakes." That was 1988. And when Manny Penna saw me, he said, "What can you do with these little legs?" So when he saw me pick the tray up with 6 dinners on it, he came back and he said, "Do you want to work tomorrow?"
I think after the Kentucky Derby, the race that we all want to win is a Thoroughbred. It's more like it's come like a race that everybody wants to win, you know.
Well, there it is. Real players inside the backstretch. If you haven't been familiar with it, there's some examples. Again, they go out, they interview trainers, jockeys, owners, hot walkers, grooms, service people on the front side. Really do a great job of covering all the bases here at the racetrack, not just in New York, but tracks all across the country. And I thought we would bring in some of the principals here. Rasi Harper, kind of the founder of Real Players, and Bob Catalini as well. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
happy
morning.
to have
Great
you.
to be here.
Yeah, happy to have you because, again, I think most people who follow social media have seen what you guys do, but they may not be familiar with you personally. And I also wanted to get you in here. And besides, just talk to you. You were in here a couple years ago when my partner Steve Bick was in on a Sunday morning. We talked to you pretty much after you kind of just started things. So tell us how long you've been at it and what was the impetus for starting Real Players?
Oh, man. Yeah, you guys were one of the first.
Yeah.
One of the first to have us on. And, you and Steve. It's been 7 years.
Is it really?
And time is kind of flying. It don't even seem like 7 years. But this platform is really like, I would say more like 10 years in the making, because I started the prep work at least a good 3 years before I actually came to the backside. And this platform started in a barbershop in Saratoga, downtown. And I had no connection to horse racing, but, all my friends, and they was into the game. But, trainers and owners and horse people came into the shop year after year. And it seemed like these guys was more famous than Michael Jordan. That's how I could kind of put it together in my mind, And I remember asking Javier Castellano, he was one of my clients, is racing this big everywhere? He kind of said, not really. Saratoga is special. And it's a different vibe here. And then I went on to ask him about racing in his country and how big is it there. And he told me it's pretty big. So, hearing these stories kind of would just spark the idea, because racing was on every day in the shop. All my guys is handicapping. All my guys know all the trainers, know all the owners. And watching it on TV, it just never reflected in the stories, that
Yes.
I was hearing in the barbershop. And I just seen the opportunity there to kind of create a podcast within this barbershop. And because everybody come there, so I said, you know what, let me try to, it'll be a cool podcast if, a client is in the shop and Chad Brown is here. How cool is it to, talk history with Chad or whatever. And, I was scrambling around trying to find people to help me create this podcast, and nobody wanted to kind of collaborate. Everybody that had a camera, that had the skills to kind of bring it to life, all wanted to charge a lot of money that I couldn't afford. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I always felt like it was a great story. It was a great concept, and it took off right away. I started this Facebook group back then, and first came up with the name The Real Players Inside the Backstretch was a hit right from the door. It had a nice ring to it, and it told the story. But we started this Facebook group, and it grew to 10,000 subscribers. Like, I'm talking about less than a month, maybe. It just had legs, and then I started the page, and we got to 500,000 or close to 500,000. But right from the door, every story we put out, people found it, and not just racetrackers, just people that just love human interest stories.
And again, you do a great job covering the gamut from, as we saw, Mike Rapoli there, people working on the backside, jockeys, Kendrick, and if people aren't familiar, I think we have the graphic with the website there. You can find it on various social media platforms, YouTube and Twitter and whatnot. But they have the website as well, and you can pick up the various videos. Bob, I'll ask you, when did you become involved, and how did you become involved?
Well, I was a fan first and foremost, and just organically discovered the platform on YouTube, myself and a friend of mine. And we were talking all the time, like, we love all this stuff. Did you see the latest? This one's out, that one's out. They really struck a nerve, going back to when I was a kid. We'd go to the track quite a bit. I'm from New England, Massachusetts. So, Rockingham Park, Suffolk Downs as a kid, it was a thrill to go to the track, a thrill to get kind of like gamble a little bit. And anyway, you have a career and things get pushed aside. But I think it was 6 or 7 years ago when Rasi started it. I discovered the platform and then actually started to come up here quite a bit. And I've been up here like full time for about 4 summers now.
Okay.
And we became friendly. And then last winter, he asked me to travel with him to Tampa, Gulfstream, OBS, and the Derby and so forth. So we've been out there moving and shaking for about a year together, almost going on a year.
Excellent. And one of the notable things to me, and I love it because I try to do some of that over here because I think our audience is involved, maybe a lot of people who are maybe new to the game and don't know some of the ins and outs. So I try to get some of the nuts and bolts. But right from the beginning, it seems like that's kind of been a concentration with you, going back and getting some of the people that, hot walkers and grooms. I think that the average fan doesn't realize what goes back here on a day-to-day basis. So right from the beginning, you involve those kind of people.
Because, I didn't even know. At first, I was just introduced to owners, trainers, and a few people that work in the backstretch. And I've never been on the backside before. So when I wanted to do it, I just had the concept of the barbershop trainers and owners. But then when I went to B&H and I invested in a bunch of cameras and I went to the backside, that was my first time. And I seen a whole different world that, you kind of hear the story. I had a buddy of mine that was from the South. His family grew up in Aiken and Hillary. And I heard about how the old time black guys lived in stalls. But that was just 2 stories. But when I came through the gates in Saratoga and seen this world within a world, so to say, it kind of blew my mind. And right from the door, the barbershop idea went out the window. And now I want to tell the stories from every single person that was involved in the game. Because how could you be a part of this game and not want to tell the stories of everybody?
And they're fun stories too. Is it Bill Mott, Emma, Bill Mott's assistant, right? With Sovereignty and it's
Irma.
Irma, right? Irma. To see those kind of people who are so invested in their horses. I got a little video last year. I kind of stood behind her big screen, the Travers, and watched her, celebrate the victory. And again, they're so intricate to the game, and people are not familiar with their stories. So I think you do a great job kind of introducing the people who, again, are integral to the game.
Because when you think about the human interest side of the game, and especially now in 2026, human interest stories are so important on social media, not just horse racing. But when you think about it, there's no other industry that got the best human interest stories, in my opinion. It's all walks of life. It's 7 days a week. It's every day. And it's people that's, dedicated their lives, and not for money. Just to see their horse win, I think is enough payment.
Yeah,
for them,
yeah.
You know, and these videos kind of just coming here right now. I got a phone call in the car. I picked up the phone call. It was a guy. His name is Iggy Allen. He said, "Listen, I'm from Louisiana. I was the first black guy Nick Zito ever hired, and he works for Frankie Brothers. And he told me, he's telling me his whole life story in the car right before I get on. And his daughter lives in Schenectady. He now live in Bennington, and he want to set up a time to tell me old stories. This is how these videos is resonating. It's like people love these stories.
Yeah, no, it's hard to believe people wouldn't be familiar. Again, if you're on social media, you've probably seen. If you haven't, check it out. And Bob, talk a little bit about, you kind of alluded to it. Now you're popping around to tracks all around the country as well. And I'm imagining when you show up, people are like, hey, real players. And what's the reception?
Well, you know, Rasi's voice is known because for many years, it was him, camera, and he would interview people. He's behind the camera and interviewing at the same time, so his voice is very well known. So I'm sorry, I lost track there.
No, when you're with tracks out of town, what's your reception?
So let me get back to that. So his voice is very well known. When he walks up and says, you know, hey, what's up, guys? They all turn. They know his voice, you know. So he's laid a lot of the groundwork, and wherever the real players go, people are aware, and we're at a point now where people really, you know, when they see us come by, I think their fingers are crossed. We kind of like to be interviewed. We like to be on the camera. They don't want to ask, but you know, to kind of we don't really pick and choose, but it's just Rasi has a great feel for who to kind of get with and try to get on camera organically. So for those of you who are out there waiting, it's coming. It's just going to be the right time. That's all.
How have you decided where to make your trips out of town?
You know, right now, to be honest with you, I would love to travel everywhere where horse racing is. You know, so obviously I got a day job, so I'm picking my spots. So we started kind of taking sponsorships too, because we really don't want to miss. Like this year coming up, we don't want to miss nowhere.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like this platform it's becoming one of the most important voices in the game, literally. And I'm not just saying that, it's just the response that we get from people. Like when people want to talk to me and tell these stories, it's a different energy. It's almost spiritual, almost the way people want to kind of tell these stories. So I feel like I got a duty and an obligation to travel this country and even the world telling human stories of this game. So back to your story, how I picked the spots, it's just random. You know, like we wanted to go to Louisiana, we did that. We wanted to go to California, we did that because we liked the flight line at that time. I've been to Toronto. It's just no rhyme or reason. Like everything about this platform been organic, and it's just it's no rhyme or reason.
And I saw, you know, as last night doing research and whatnot, you guys were over at the Chaplaincy brunch the other day and covered that. Did a lot over at Facek Tipton. Again, you're on the backstretch. You're all over the place. Bob, what are some of the favorite places you've visited?
Well, the Derby, I had never been to the Derby.
Oh, okay.
So we did media from the Derby this year. We did over 20 million views. You know, we had great access. We were in the paddock, you know, all the time. I mean, what we did there was almost in real time. The way we kept the interviews on the shorter side so we could get them out in almost real time. So the Derby, people talk about it being a bucket list item. It really is. It really is. So Kentucky Derby was a favorite, but we love every place we go, whether it was Tampa, Gulfstream, OBS.
You're at a racetrack. What's not to love?
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, we'd love to cover small tracks, quite frankly, because there are beautiful stories there. People grinding and hustling, and that's what it's about, you know?
Rasi, I asked you yesterday to be on the show, and then subsequently I was out in the winner's circle at one point, and I walked up the stairs, and folks saw the video we showed at the top. I turned around and I thought, well, I'll get some of you at work. Yeah, Brad Cox comes out of the winner's circle, and you fire up your camera and got an interview with him. How do they happen? How many are planned? How many are like, hey, I'm going to come meet you? And how many are just kind of on the fly?
Everything is on the fly.
Okay.
I never planned the interview yet. You know, I think because I like it to be organic.
Yeah.
I feel like what you get when it's organic is just the natural conversation. Because when you got a plan for it, it's going to be a good interview, but it changes the dynamic of things.
Yeah.
You know, when you could, especially now, people know I'm coming, so I think people's preparing. So when not, so you know.
So we ran into a young lady the other day at Basic Tipton. She's been working on a documentary for 2 or 3 years, and she said, "Who's on your list?" We said, "Nobody's on our list. We just get to the location, and we figure it out."
Yeah. And clearly it is working out. I'll ask both of you guys. First, Rasi, I'll ask you. You have any favorites, all-time favorite interviews?
You know, I used to have a lot of favorites, but I think everybody's my favorite now.
Okay.
I hate to say I have a favorite because every story tell a different.
Yeah.
You know, they're different. No two stories are the same, and I get a new favorite every day.
Yeah.
You know, when I think Nick Zito is my favorite, I ran into another guy. When I was in Louisiana, I thought Deadeye was my favorite. I ran into somebody else. Robbie Davis gave me classics. You know, racetrackers tell great stories, and, you know, I think they all my favorite at this point. That's why when you know how I post, if you follow the platform, The Real Players Inside the Backstretch, you know, I'm posting all day. I'm probably putting out north of 500 pieces of content a month.
Yeah.
Literally. Like, if you see how I'm posting, it's coming. It's no rhyme or reason all day.
I can verify, just being on the front side most days. You are out there running around paddock, winner's circle, and Bob, I'll ask you this: you came into this as a horse racing fan, so now
a little bit of ownership,
and that side of it too. So now doing this and doing some of the interviews and whatnot, any surprises, anything that was like, oh, I didn't realize that?
Well, you know, I mean, I did have favorites when I was a fan. Now that I'm involved, I have much respect and high value for every interview that we do. You know, I think Rasi and I think one of our strengths is that we have different interests in the game. So I'm really interested in like what trainers see. I kind of like to dig in some areas, trainers, pin hookers, you know. So I think the combination of, we both have, like, we love the game, but we both have different strengths in the game. So I think it kind of blends well.
And, you know, it's cool for me, like, to bring Bob on, and now I got Ahmed, because everybody got different angles. I like to stay in my pocket. Like, what I do is all the human interest stuff. That's what I'm here for. That's what I care the most about. But, you know, bringing Bob on, it just added another specialness to the platform, because like Bob said, he was a fan first. I met him on the backside and we became friendly, and now we run around the country telling these stories. And I think everything about this platform is organic in that way. So, you know, you're gonna get me and my now people saying they need to see me more, hear my voice again more. But, you know, don't worry, I'm still here. I'm behind the camera. I'm producing. I'm curating, but my voice is still there. But I like what Bob brings to the table. I really love what he brings to the table.
And what is the team actually?
So the team is about, I want to say, like 8 deep now.
Okay.
You know, it used to be me. Now we got Bob, we got Ahmed, we got my guy Anthony Whitaker. He's in the back office. We started Silks and Strategy. It's like the digital side of what we're doing. And a few more people that we're not going to name right now, but the team is growing with like sharp racetrackers and people that really love the game. But one thing I'm going to say about this team was built organically. Everybody found me in their own way. I didn't look for not one person on this team. We crossed paths some way, sometime, and we all like working together in one common goal is to really amplify the game and be positive. Like, the only criteria is we want to be positive. We want to tell the stories from everybody in the game, top to bottom, and we want to kind of put some respect on the old timers that's here and that's not here no more.
And doing a great job at it. I had a little television production company in downtown for years and years, so I look at your stuff and I think it's great. It's, as you say, it's organic. Couldn't have been done, you know, before social media appeared, and now, as you say, some of it's almost in real time with social media. You can shoot something and boom, it's right there available. Again, highly tout visiting the website and learning more if you aren't already familiar with these guys. But I just wanted you guys to come on and for folks who aren't familiar, learn more about it. For folks who are familiar, put a little more info behind the the names and the faces. But again, it's a great project that is worth doing, particularly with some of these faces that otherwise would not be seen on the backstretch. So again, appreciate the work you guys are doing and keep it up.
And, one last thing, I would like everybody to really visit the website, InsideTheBackstretch.com. We want to work with race trackers. We want to work with racetracks. We want to help promote this game, and we want any kind of sponsorships that people want to be involved in this new media. This is new kind of storytelling, and we're not just helping ourselves, we're helping the industry. And if you look at the engagements on this platform, is very special and very organic, and we really want everybody to be a part of this ride. And anybody else that we didn't interview yet, it's not because we don't want to interview you. It's just we're just waiting for the right moment.
It's coming.
Very good. Bob, Rasi, appreciate the visit, and as they say, keep up the good work.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate you so much. Appreciate
All right.
Thank you.
We'll take a break. When we come back, Charlie Baker is in the house. Again, having a nice little Saratoga meet. Nice winner to kick things off. Middle of the card yesterday with Patrell. We'll talk about that and more. Stay tuned.
Why just watch the races when you can be in the middle of the action? For nearly 20 years, Bonaventure Stables' share-based ownership program has made thoroughbred ownership affordable for the everyday fan. Ownerships of 5 and 10% are now available on a nice selection of horses. As a partial owner with Bonaventure Stables, you'll enjoy all the benefits afforded every owner. Visit with your horse in the private stable area. Greet the trainers and jockeys in the paddock. And when your horse wins, savor the moment in the winner's circle at Saratoga, Belmont, Aqueduct, or wherever you bring home the prize. Based in historic Saratoga Springs, Bonaventure Stables has been training winners and creating memories since 2005. Learn more, see available horses, and meet our team at bonaventurestables.com.
A day at the track isn't complete without a night at the Horseshoe. Great food, hot music, and cold drinks. So why go downtown when all the action's just across from the track? The Horseshoe Inn at the corner of Nelson and Gridley.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
Welcome back to Racing Across America. As promised before the break, joined now by Charlton Baker. Charlie Baker off to a good Saratoga meet. Limited starters, but some nice wins. So I thought we'd talk about that and more. Good morning.
Good morning. Nice. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. You got to be happy with the meet so far?
So far, definitely. We haven't run a lot, but the ones that we're running are kind of showing up enough where we're doing okay. So it's good. It's a good meet, starting to make good money.
And always like to do it for folks who see your name in the program but maybe aren't familiar with you. Talk a little bit about how you got into the game.
Oh, my dad was a trainer back in Jamaica. I was in the game from the start because I lived next door to the racetrack in Jamaica. We only got one track there. I lived next door. My dad was a trainer. Was a jockey before he became a trainer. So I was always at a racetrack. I was always, so I was always in love with the game. So it's like
Caymanas Park. Yeah,
Caymanas Park. That's it. Yep.
Yeah, very good. And how did you make your way to New York?
Okay, my family, they migrated here in the early 70s. So I was the only kid back in Jamaica. My three sister was here. I was the only kid back in Jamaica, and then I came up in the '80s, late '80s, and I've been doing the horse business since then.
And where are you located here? Where's your barn?
I'm in Oklahoma, on right there in the Mott barn, right in barn 76.
It's nice over there.
Yeah, nice area, definitely.
Are you here just during the season, or do you keep horses up here after the season ends?
Not a stay, but just for the season.
Okay.
Love to stay after that, but with the health situation, back and forth,
Totally understand it.
Yeah.
But you're a New York guy, and I've been asking everybody during the meet who is New York based. Reflect a little bit on Aqueduct. We were down closing day. That was fun closing day, but reflect on your time at Aqueduct.
Well, Aqueduct has been there forever. The first track I came since when I came to America. So it's always back then. It was packed, jammed, and was a vibrant place. I think over the years, as far as a trainer being shipped back and forth, is kind of time consuming, expensive.
Yeah.
So I think it's a welcome change that we stay one place. It's about time. And they're so close to each other. It didn't really make sense having two tracks, in my view. Anyway,
Yeah.
It didn't make sense having two tracks that close to each other when you could have one track that could pretty much maintain all the horse population that we have in New York.
Yeah, and I think everybody's looking forward to the new Belmont Park.
Yeah,
I think
definitely.
Nice. Any concerns? Any thoughts about the synthetic track?
Well, it's a trial. See how it does. Like every new thing. Some people might be against it, people are for it, but it's racing right now. So we're just gonna go forward and see where we're at with it.
Yeah, I'm hoping at the winter time it's going to benefit. I think the new
we definitely need some new trainers in there to make the field size a little better for the winter time. So it's a welcome change. Hopefully that happens and we are okay with the winter time.
Yeah, the Woodbine situation combining with them, I think, is going to help things out. So I'm kind of looking forward to it.
Definitely.
Let's take a look at yesterday because, again, middle of the card, fifth race yesterday. Bertrill got it done. Ricardo Santana on board. It was a state-bred allowance event. We were talking earlier. We had Naj Thompson and Jack Knowloton talking about the new New York Bred Hall of Fame and the New York Bred sale. And this was a nice little New York Bred. And you race a lot of horses up the Finger Lakes as well, so you are clearly a supporter of the New York program.
Definitely. 90% of my stock is New York Bred, so I'm definitely a supporter of New York Bred, and we run a lot of New York Bred in Finger Lakes, so it's definitely a good look for New York Bred.
And this was a very nice run yesterday.
Yeah.
Again, Bertrill, middle of the card, getting it done off a start down in New York. It started here. Belmont Stakes weekend, then back down to New York, and Ricardo hopped on board yesterday. What were your expectations yesterday for that one?
Look, handicap in the race, there was one horse that looked kind of, as far as the transition from the grass to the dirt, there was one horse that looked good. Clement Horse, a favorite, eventual favorite. He looked good on the dirt, but his last race was nothing to write home about. So I felt good. As far as looking at the overall form, I felt good with as far as my horse was training. I thought she was coming up to the race great, as well with training for the grass. But I thought she was coming up to the race great. And I saw a race once back on the dirt where she finished third or fourth, somewhere around there. But it wasn't a great buyer. But the buyer topped most of the horses that already run on the dirt. So I felt good about the race staying on the dirt.
I like to ask trainers. You mentioned the buyer. Are you a guy who looks at speed figures?
Yeah, I love to look at speed. I always handicap speed figures. I do everything with speed figures. Claim with speed figures. It's a good tool to use. Yeah, it's not a exact science, but it gets you in the range where you want to be. So,
that's what I say. As a handicapper, when we do the handicap show, I say it's a tool in the toolbox.
Yeah,
you can't rely on it completely, but it's an important tool.
Yeah, definitely.
And talk a little bit about again. You have a lot of horses that are up at Finger Lakes as well. Talk about how that works out during the year for you.
It works out great for me personally because I'm not a trainer that gets sales horses. Horses from sales, I get breeder horses. Horses from the breeders are New York Bred basically. So if they can't do it in the city, we can always send them downstate where they can compete. So it works out great that way. And lately, my stock hasn't been that great, so I've been sending a lot down there. So it's just part of the business,
Do you bounce back and forth?
Yeah, I do go back and forth. Yeah, I kind of maintain and I like to be wherever I'm, running
Sure.
at. So I kind of go back. It's a lot to go back and forth, but I do that. Make that trip once a week or every 2 weeks or so. Yeah.
Very good. I wanted to show another winner from the meet, White Smoke Rising. This is a nice horse you have here.
Yeah.
I'm looking back July 3rd, White Smoke Rising. Subsequently, had some trouble in the stakes race following that.
Yeah.
But I think you have a nice one here with White Smoke Rising.
I do believe I like him a lot. I think he's still learning, still in the process of learning. But when he put it together, I think he'll be super.
And again, I said there was a little trouble. I had some trouble at the break. Was that kind of a legitimate excuse you're looking at?
I thought it was. I think the track had a lot of moisture. He broke sideways, kind of hit the gate, and got shut off a little bit from the other horse coming into him, or he going into the other horse. So it was a legitimate excuse. He was way back, made a solid run. Kind of went wheel wide because unavoidable because he was so far back and they kind of bunched up. So he had to go 5-6 wide off the turn. Kind of flattened a little, but kept on running. But it was a good race. Might not appear on form as a good race, but to the visual eye, I thought it was a very good race.
Yeah, that's what I say. It's worth taking the trouble into account because came into that race off the race we saw, which was really nice. Anything looking forward to anything with that one?
We're kind of playing it by here right now. It's like we don't want to go back in a stake off that race, which is at the end of the month. So we're thinking maybe the toward the end, if we can find one. I think he wants to go a little bit 7/8 a mile. Cutting back to 3/4 wasn't my plan, but was the race that was there. So I think 7/8 a mile it'll be very suitable there. So that's kind of where we're kind of looking at right now.
White Smoke Rising, again, keep your eyes open for that is a nice runner, certainly. Speaking of nice runners, always when we get trainers in here, I like to pull up when they get a grade 1. Why not take a look? And we're going to take a look at Joking here, winning the Vosburg back in 2016. So a really nice horse. Eventually, I think wound up at Old Friends, right? Wasn't he gelding?
He's still at Old Friends. Yeah.
But again, nice little grade 1 victory in the Vosburg down at Belmont Park. Talk a little bit about having a horse like Joking in the barn.
Yeah, no, it was great. It was super at the time we had him in the barn. He was he actually that year I thought he won like 4 in a row or something like that, coming into till he got
you're right.
Yeah,
he won the True North right before that. He won the Diablo Stakes race. So 3 straight stakes races.
Three stakes.
And then the allowance before that.
Yeah. So it was a beautiful horse. I mean, always had ability. I think we got him to where he relaxed a lot, where he started showing his ability. But he was, from looking at his form, I tried to claim him before I actually got him. And I thought, look at the form. He was a horse with always his first race. I think he had a 90 buyer. Show he had ability, but he got real nervous where he was just breaking out sweat and covered sweat when he comes to races, and kind of got him settled down where he was being nice and calm, and that's when he started getting better and started showing his true ability. But he always had that from day one. He just got his nervous.
You talked about claiming horses. Have you claimed anything up here? It seems like the claim box is tough up here with shakes.
Yeah, we got one so far. I think we went for 3. We ended up having got 1 so far, and he should be running around in a week or so. But seemed like a nice horse. So since we've got him, and he's a grass horse and doing good right now with us. So hopefully he runs good when we.
Is it tougher up here? Because I'm in the press box up here, not downstate, but up here the Equibase guys. So a couple races later, there was a claim in race so and so. It's a 5-way shake or whatever. Is it easier up here, harder up here? And
it's harder to get one here because everyone claim. I think the same horse might run in Belmont for 30,000 and no one goes in. And when you bring it to Saratoga, see like 12 people going for the same horse that might have run a week ago. So it's a tougher getting one because it's always a shake. I think wherever you go, it's a shake. You're gonna feel not frequently finding one that you're going by yourself. So it's always tougher to claim here, and it's what it is. It's always been Saratoga though. It's always a place where people claim a lot, and I don't. It's what it is.
Yeah. Again, I'm up there, and it always seems like, hey, this one's claimed 5-way shake, 10-way.
Yeah,
it seems like
it's always a big shake. Always a big shake, except especially ones that looks good to the eye. It's always a shake.
And I always say some of the high-profile owners want to win so much up here that they drop them to a level where there's going to be a bunch jumping in.
Yeah, definitely. And then you got a trainer might be in range of winning the meet, or and our owner might be in the range of in a competitive spot winning a meet. They might drop some horses in. So and at the same time they might put a bad one in too, because they got it. So it goes both ways.
Yeah.
You can get a good one for a reasonable price because someone is taking a hedge, and then you can get a bad one because you're thinking the person is taking a hedge when he's actually placing him where he belongs.
Yeah, the gamblers in the game aren't only at the windows; they're playing.
The guys. You got trainers that play good game of chess, so they do what they do.
Let me ask about a couple coming up because you have one in the opener today. Crescendo's Reign coming in off a nice win up at the Finger Lakes, so comes back up to Saratoga. That was off a little bit of a layoff. Crescendo's Reign looks really interesting today with Flavian. What do you think in the first?
I think he's a very nice horse. He always had his issue coming off this break. I think he's coming back a lot better than he has in the past. So expecting a good race from him. We stretched him out 2 turns the last time. He's a big horse that looks like he's a 2-turn type of horse. He sprints great, so we had him running shorter earlier in his career and up to the last start. But he looks like a horse that would go 2 turns, and he handled it pretty good in Finger Lakes. So we bring him here to see how he does there. But he's doing good. He's coming to the race pretty good.
Very good. And I'm always curious with maiden specials, first time starters coming up this coming week. You have Masquerade Mistress in there, first time starter, I believe. What's she looking for?
She's a big filly that definitely want to go a little bit further than a 6 furlong, 7/8 regular, starting point. So we're starting her off a little bit a mile, which is kind of tough to start off on a mile, but she doesn't want to sprint, so it's like it's a waste of time. And she needs to run because she's a filly that's going to benefit from racing. So starting off her first career, she might need a couple starts to get her on the right track, but she needs to run because she's going to develop as she goes along.
Very good. So we'll be looking forward to that one again coming up on the 21st. Masquerade Mistress. You have some other entrants in there, and keep it up because again, 3 for 12 so far. Nice 25% at the meet. You can't beat that, and we'll be rooting for you going forward.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
Charlie Baker, again, nice meet so far, and has some coming up over the next few days, including that first-time starter. White Smoke Rising, a good one we'll be looking for in the future as well. All right, I'm going to wrap it up for Racing Across America on this Sunday morning. Don't forget, we're back in on Wednesday. Don't forget High Rollers today. Win a bet down at the Clubhouse Racebook. The syndicate will open for next week, so keep that in mind as well. Visit the website. So plenty coming up over the next few days and the remainder of the meet, which includes coming back on Wednesday morning for TV. So we'll see you then.
Mitty's gritty to the outside. Ready for the Sunday opener. And there they go. Not a bad start for all of the horses. Guardian is showing pace with Mitty.